Okay, so we left off with you talking about Zorlov, but my question was still unanswered. How long did it take you to read the Quran?
Okay, Zorlov, that's hilarious. Okay, so basically, the whole thing to answer that question is I spent well over a year reading the Quran. I read the whole Quran all the way through front to back once. And then I read most of it again because I thought I had missed the part that said that you're supposed to fly airplanes into buildings. Everything else just made perfect sense. So I read it again and I tried to find it and I couldn't find it again. And then by that time I was fond of it and I read like Surah Yusuf probably 3 or 4 times, maybe even more. I had favorites at the time. So all of this time that I was reading this book, most of the time in the middle of the night with my forearms screaming in pain, um, about a year and 3 months, I had never met a single Muslim except for the man that sold me this book. So, I still, until I had this sort of thought, this preconceived notion because of mass media. But once I sort of came to terms that I didn't miss anything in the Quran and everything that it talked about, was as simple and logical and straightforward as I thought as it is. It was next. It was time for me, I guess, to take my next step. And what I did then was I looked in the Calgary phone book for mosques because I had heard that that's where these guys hung out. And these guys believed in this Quran, and this Quran made a lot of sense. Like, it was just very, very simple. So I figured maybe I would go and see these people. And this is actually quite funny. So I found the address for the masjid in Calgary, or the mosque, and I went there, and I just happened to go on a Friday of all the days that somebody new to Islam, I didn't even know that Friday was the fundamental day. It was just, well, I have some time now. So my spouse came with me, and we go to this place, and it was just packed full of cars. I couldn't believe it. Like, there was nowhere to park. And but I was pretty intent on going into this place, so I parked like a real jerk, like right in the entranceway. And then I went inside to this building. And just as I was heading into the building, hundreds of men just poured out, and I was like, not literally fighting, but I was trying to squeeze my way up into the masjid. I had no idea why everybody was leaving all at the same time, but anyways, once I got up there, kind of like a salmon swimming upstream, once I got up to the masjid and I stepped inside, and I didn't know I had my shoes on, and 4 men came, and they came right up to me, and, oh, hey, how you doing, can I help you with something? And I was like, well, yeah, actually, I've got lots of questions. And then they invited me into the masjid. We sat down, I took my shoes off, we sat down, and we talked for a good 45 minutes. And meanwhile, my wife was in my car waiting for me because I thought I was just gonna like run in and run out. But these guys were really helpful. They were a mashallah. They were a good example of the way that we're supposed to be. Alhamdulillah. It was a very pivotal point, and it went over quite well. These boys, they were obviously there to defend their masjid, but they did it very, very well. So this was my first example of Muslims, and I left. I left the masjid and jumped into my car, and turns out, my wife probably got, or she wasn't my wife at the time, but we were together anyways. Um, obviously not wearing hijab, and sitting in a car parked like a jerk, and she years later she told me that probably every man in that masjid gave her a dirty look because she was sitting in the car that was parked in the wrong way, while everybody was trying to get out. So that was her first impression of Muslims, so it's a little, I don't know. So then after I had gone to this masjid, it was good, When I bought the book, he gave me a business card, and it said Garden of Islam, specializing in Qurans and Hadiths. I wish I had a card. So, I was interested. Like, I read the Quran. It was good, made a lot of sense to me. So I wanted to find out what these hadiths were. And I'm getting sort of this story is so long that it kind of jumps all over the place. Yeah, so I don't know if you don't. So anyways, I was curious about these hadiths. During this time, during that I was reading this Quran, my girlfriend and I decided to get married. Now this is a story, but they all tie in, so we decide that we're gonna tie the knot. Why not, right? And I drug her all over the mountains, I drug her up 250-meter rock climbs, and I made her hike for 4 hours up boulder fields and stuff, and so that she would say, oh no, this is no fun, and not come out and play. But she always wanted to come out and play, so it was finally time for me to say, well, okay, let's get married, and we decided to get married, and we went into the registrar's office. Excuse me. Part 3's coming up.